Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump. At least I will go down as a president.
So basically, this is the beginning of the end for Trump.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end?
This is probably starting of the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency.
The strongest person usually isn't the loudest one in the room.
So right now we have Hillary's about a 75 or an 80% favorite. We have different versions of the forecast you can look at.
Poll has Hillary Clinton up by double digits nationally, 12 points, 50 to 38, four-way race.
Clinton leading in Florida, Clinton leading in North Carolina, Clinton leading in Ohio, Clinton leading in Nevada. I could go on and on and on.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. Come on, buddy.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida. Huge win for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, we project, will win in Kentucky, in Indiana, with its 11 electoral votes. West Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, North Dakota, with its 3 electoral votes, and South Dakota, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the state of Montana, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona, Kansas, with its 6 electoral votes, Nebraska with its 5 electoral votes, and Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
A lot of people have laughed at me over the years. Now they're not laughing so much, I'll tell you.
Ann Coulter's cracking up. You never heard me play that yet? You need to listen more, Miss Coulter. How are you?
I want to listen to that every day of my life.
I know, it's my favorite cut. You know, and by the way, Ann has her book, which is really, since the election, I heard it's going gangbusters, in Trump We Trust. You know, my favorite cut, though, in the middle of that was, I think it was June of 2015. There you are on Bill Maher, and you said, yeah, Donald Trump.
2 days after he announced.
Right. And they laughed and they mocked and they ridiculed, and guess who's laughing now?
Well, also, I mean, it's symbolic of all of those cuts you played. And I'm not in the business of giving liberals advice, but I'm thinking maybe smirking and sneering at ordinary people doesn't win over those ordinary people. And that's really, I mean, something I've written about for a long time. Guilty, demonic. And especially in Trump We Trust now recently, smirking is not an attractive quality. I've never heard anybody say, you know, I like Rachel, but I just wish she'd smirk more. I will say that is not something you see on Fox News, or as I call it, Coyote News, for its open border stance. Whatever liberals say about Fox News and, you know, fake news and blah, 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 nobody smirks on that network, whereas that is kind of the marker of the left, of all those comedians you were playing at the beginning. Comedy shows are no longer comedy. It's stringing together a long series of words in a complicated way, insulting someone. There's no, you know, surprise ending. There's no catch at the end. Also, similar to what, I mean, they're doing the same thing right now. I have a whole chapter in Trump We Trust, because every time I'd take a break and go into the kitchen to make coffee, I'd hear someone on TV. This went on for, 18 months saying, well, Trump's problem is he won't give us policy specifics. No policy specifics. There are no specifics. And, he doesn't like facts. He won't give us details. Will we finally get details tonight? I ended up quoting 150 examples of it, even though I know that can drive people crazy. I just thought, screw it. This is so annoying me. And they're doing, my point at the time was he was the only one giving us policy specifics. We knew what his plan was for the wall. He was going to build one. Name one other Republican's position. Forget Hillary. Oh, we need to secure the border. The same thing that they've been telling us for 20 years. He not only said he's building a wall, he gave us the specifications.
And he said Mexico would pay for it.
He said Mexico would pay for it. He talked about the Muslim ban, and then he talked about how he would implement the Muslim ban. He has a whole policy paper describing how Mexico is going to pay for the wall, by the way. He went through anchor babies. We never
sanctuary cities,
any
everything
of that. And now my concern is, as I wrote in my column this week, he better follow through, or he's going to be another lying politician. He will be hated with a blinding hatred greater than that toward Jeb ! Because he will have conned us. And I got to tell you, I'm not that happy about the appointees so far. And what is taking so long for him to name Chris Kobach as head of Homeland Security? If he's serious about removing a single illegal immigrant, he better put Kobach there, because what he doesn't understand, what most people I think don't understand, or possibly, maybe he does understand this, but generally people do not understand that when it comes to immigration, look, judges, every Republican's going to be with them. Taxes, regulation, every Republican's going to be with them. Who cares what the New York Times says? When it comes to immigration, everyone, the universe, is against him. It's Donald Trump, the American people, and about 5 individuals he can put in that position. Other than that, the immigration judges will be against him, the permanent bureaucracy will be against him, Paul Ryan will be against him, Marco Rubio will be against him, the New York Times, and a certain network known as Coyote Network will be against him. When it comes to immigration, he stands alone, and he can't do everything. He can't read every law. Right now, everything he's proposed on immigration, I'm going to write more about this next week, it's already the law. And why is it already the law?
I was just going to say that.
Because politicians know that's what the public wants. They just won't do it when you are up against that force. And I'd also add at this moment, if this exact same election had been run 4 years from now with no change in our immigration policy, just with the immigrants we already have turning 18 and voting, half of those battleground states were decided 48-49. Same election 4 years later without a massive change in immigration. Trump loses. It's the end of the country.
I asked him last night. I talked to him on the air and I talked to him off the air. And I talked to him about every single promise he made, including what I know is your key issue, immigration, building the wall, vetting refugees.
Ending anchor babies. Which no law, that has never been passed.
He said that's the only part of it, but he said exactly what you said. He goes, it's already the law.
Right.
It doesn't, most of this does not need to be changed. He needs funding to build the wall.
He needs people who are smart and dedicated, and I'm telling you, Representative McCall in the House, whom he is allegedly considering for Homeland, he's Marco Rubio in the House. He is one of 19 House members to sign on to try to push through amnesty. If he puts McCall in Homeland, or half the other names I keep hearing bandied about, you're not getting any more deportations. Maybe we'll go back to the Bush-era level of deportations of criminal aliens.
You need somebody that supports his policies. It's plain and simple.
And is smart and can figure it out, and that's Chris Kobach, and there are about 3 other
people
who can do it.
Is he being considered? Has he been through the
I don't know why he couldn't have been announced for that position 5 minutes after. He's the one who wrote E-Verify. He wrote the entry-exit system. He wrote Arizona's Papers, Please law, which MSNBC and the New York Times and actually half of the Republican Party. Half of the Republicans were hysterical about that. They're quoted in my book, in Trump We Trust. They are quoted attacking that law. For Arizona, it was upheld by the Supreme Court. The Papers, Please law. Oh, it's like Nazi Germany. Yeah, then we've been Nazi Germany since 1940.
Here's what I want to ask you. Why don't you call this congressman? Look, you're friends with Bannon. You know Kellyanne. You've known these people for years. Why don't you call them and tell them?
Perhaps I have, but I still see McCall in long meetings, and I still don't hear Chris Kobach being announced. And by the way, I know Trump. I have a sense that he's going for flashy names, which is fine for anything else, not immigration. Look, the only reason Chris Kobach, who is Harvard undergrad, Yale Law School, Oxford, he's Donald Trump, except earlier. The only reason he's not already a senator or a governor is that Kansas already has 2 Republican senators and governors.
Yeah. Let me ask you, why are you unhappy with, which selections are you unhappy with besides Elaine Chao?
Well, Nikki Haley. I know lots of, Indian immigrants who have twice her IQ and also have the advantage of not having responded to the State of the Union this year by attacking Donald Trump. What on earth? Do you remember her response to the State of the Union? It was, in fact, it was something that in your opening montage there, Obama says, and it's bad to listen to the loudest voice in the room. That's a direct quote. Oh, sorry, Bush. That's a direct quote from Nikki Haley responding to both the State of the Union this year and the Republican response were attacks on Donald Trump. Nikki Haley went on, I don't know, Good Morning Mayor Today show, one of those shows. I'm not up early enough to watch any of them, and I wouldn't if I were. She said, yes, this was an attack on Trump. Why would you even make her head of the woman's washroom?
Why do you think he's meeting with Romney like he is?
You know, Romney would be the least bad appointment.
Stop. Romney,
okay, just let me make my point before you appeal to the mob attacks on Romney. No, Romney was the best on immigration until Trump came along. He was personally nasty. Why would he meet with him? I thought that was going to be a sop to the establishment. Big, flashy establishment. He's, Secretary of State. He'd have to go to heinous places in the world. Also have to do a lot with immigration, but he was good on immigration. It's now starting to hit me, Sean, that Romney's not a sop to the establishment. Senator Sessions was a sop to Trump's base. I think he's the only good one we're getting so far.
Well, but the problem is if somebody says you're a huckster and a fraud and unfit for office and a liar and a racist and a misogynist, there is a line that's been crossed there where I think the number one thing you need from somebody who's working for you that's going to be loyal and not undermine you.
Yep. And they won't be specifically trying to undermine me. I ought to make that clear. I'm not talking about, even somebody like Rudy Giuliani. I'd put him at FBI because he's good on crime. They totally cleaned up this city. He's good on terrorism. But he made New York City a sanctuary city. Do not put him at state. Do not put him at Homeland. No, he'd be great run the FBI. Christie was one of the first ones to endorse Trump. He was loyal and everyone attacked him and he deserved something. And I was thinking, well, what was he good at? And he was good at going after, remember?
You did love him for a while.
I did.
You had a love affair going on with him.
He aggressively went after the public sector unions, put him at OMB. Yeah. There are places to put people who are loyal to you, but Secretary of State, it's the Secretary of State who has to enforce the Muslim ban. It's the Secretary of State who has to revoke visas so that other countries take their criminals back.
Think about Petraeus. I'm asking. This is radio. You can't nod your head and roll your eyes.
I'm shrugging my shoulders and giving a look.
I'm asking. Actually, the one thing I
do
love
about...
I don't know what his position
Look,
would be.
I don't care about some positions. And by the way, I should say, little footnote, not that I care that much about it, and it's going to get done. And, okay, compare the carrier thing. Nobody except MSNBC is going to attack Donald Trump for keeping jobs in America. They will attack him for every single thing he does on immigration.
Everything.
Everything.
Absolutely.
That's why for those positions, and I like Wilbur Ross at Commerce, by the way. I know he's a billionaire. Yeah, but he's always been good on trade. But I just don't care about that as much. He's not going to be fought on the trade issues. He is going to be fought every step of the way on immigration, and he will lose, and Republicans will never win again. Can you imagine 4 years into his administration when another Kate Steinle gets killed? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't put somebody like Kobach at Homeland Security, who does not find a way to enforce the laws on the books with the entire permanent bureaucracy fighting you ferociously tooth and nail.
Listen, I think you made a very strong case. I think that he sounds like the guy for the job. You've convinced me. I didn't even know he was in the mix, and I didn't know he wanted the job. Apparently, you've talked to him. You've talked to the Trump people. My advice to you is tell him. Look, Trump knows you were out there from the very beginning supporting him, and he talks to everybody. He'll take your call, and he'll listen to you. Make the case. That's my advice to you. Not that you ever listen to my advice.
I hang on your every word, Sean.
You did not hang on my every word. You don't never listen to my advice, ever, but it's okay. But I am giving you good advice. All right, Ann Coulter, we're out of time. In Trump We Trust, her best-selling book, and we love you. And by the way, congratulations on one thing. The fact that they mocked, ridiculed, attacked you, and you ended up winning made me very happy. Congratulations.
Right back at you.
All right. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.